So I don't believe for 1 second. This lady's going into labor, but I called EMS, asked for code 3 just in case I'm wrong.
Body camera footage that you're about to see that was obtained from the Louisville, Kentucky Metro Police Department shows Lieutenant Caleb Stewart walking up to a pregnant woman under an overpass in the city's downtown area. This visibly pregnant woman told the officer that her water had broken.
You said you need an ambulance?
Yeah, I need an ambulance.
Did you call for one?
I can't reach it, and I don't know why.
Okay, did you already call for one?
No, I don't have a phone.
I thought you said you were waiting for one. I can
My
call.
husband just went to go find a phone to call.
You said you're in labor?
I'm leaking. I'm leaking water. All of my embryonic fluid, I'm leaking out.
104 to radio. Could you please update my location?
I hate my life so much. Y'all took my RV.
I'm going to be at East Washington and Hancock. And could you please start EMS this way? I've got a lady here that says she's going into labor.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Ma'am, how far along are you? Ma'am, you need to stop. Stop.
I'm being detained.
Yes, you're being
For
detained.
what?
You're being detained because you're unlawfully camping. How far along are you? They're asking for EMS.
I'm due October 29th. I'm going to my
She
husband.
states she's due October 29th. Okay, no, ma'am, you need to stop.
I gotta go to the hospital.
I've got EMS.
Okay, so what the fuck am I doing wrong?
Code 3, please.
I'm walking out to the street.
Okay, I've got EMS. I just called for EMS.
Okay, what am I doing wrong walking out towards the street for EMS?
Okay, fine. Let's walk out towards the street then.
Damn. Y'all are fucking evil people.
Do you have an ID on you?
Y'all are evil people. Why are y'all
Ma'am,
so
what's your last name?
evil? You know my last name.
Ma'am, what is your last name?
It's Bradley.
It's what?
Bradley.
What's your first name?
Samantha.
Ma'am, come over here right now and stand over here. Right over here. Now,
You don't have
get
to
out of the
holler.
street.
You don't have to push
Come
me.
on,
I'm coming
out of the
up
street.
here. You don't have to push me. I'm coming
Stay
up
right here. I have EMS coming.
Okay, but you don't have to holler. You don't have to push me. I haven't done anything to you.
Okay.
Okay?
You're not allowed to. You're not allowed.
Okay, I understand that. I don't have a home. Y'all took my RV from me that I paid $12,000 for. 12, not 1,002, $12,000 for.
We did not take your
Y'all
RV.
took it. I parked it over here by the skate park to go to a food pantry for food, and y'all said it was an abandoned vehicle. Cost over $6,000 to get it out of suburban going now. It had all of my stuff on there, everything. I just got it to get off the streets, and y'all fucking impounded it and made me lose it.
Okay, ma'am. EMS is coming. You need to stay right here. Okay.
I gotta find my husband.
So Lieutenant Caleb Stewart, he's on his way right now to write up a citation for illegal camping. And while this is happening, you're going to see a Orange City dump truck take away her mattress. Now, the citation stems from a new Kentucky state law that bans people from street camping. The Safer Kentucky Act is what it's called, and that makes camping on a street a misdemeanor violation and could result in a fine. According to public records, Stewart issued 26 of the 44 unlawful camping violation citations that were handed out.
So I don't believe for 1 second. This lady's going into labor, but I called EMS, asked for code 3 just in case I'm wrong. She's pulled this kind of stuff before, where as soon as she is observed violating some kind of a law, then she'll make up some outlandish story about what's going on. So I pulled up and she said, I'm waiting for EMS. But then I asked if you called for EMS. No, I don't have a phone. So clearly she wasn't waiting for EMS.
While he sat there and went on his little rant with himself, there were a few things that I wanted to point out. One of them is, had he actually listened to what she had to say, then clearly she said that her husband was out trying to locate a phone so that he can call an ambulance. But instead, he went and made the assumption that she was being dishonest. Why would she lie about whether or not she called an ambulance? Lieutenant Stewart went into the situation and had a choice. He could have assessed the situation and made sure that she got the help and care that was needed, but instead he chose criminalization. I completely understand why the woman who was in labor did not want any help from this officer. The mayor and the police chief made statements supporting the officer's actions and even make him sound like a hero for getting her an ambulance. I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that the only reason that he called an ambulance was to save his own ass, just in case if she was actually telling the truth, which she was.
I assume that's the EMS coming for you, okay? Alright, I'm issuing you a citation for unlawful camping, okay? You can't camp out or sleep on sidewalks, underneath underpasses or bridges, and we've warned you about this before, okay? You've got a court date on November the 8th at 9 a.m. at the courthouse at 600 West Jefferson. If you fail to appear, Judge may potentially issue a warrant, okay? Keep lagging.
I'm glad y'all got this job to fuck with the homeless and not help society.
Okay, EMS is here.
Y'all got this job to fuck with the homeless, bro. People that don't even really do anything to us.
Okay, are you going to give EMS any problems?
No, I want you to get away from me.
So what were y'all called out?
Well, we just came across her, and she said she was in labor, so she's leaking everywhere. She said she's due the end of October.
Okay.
Should we do this, or she's done with it? But she said she
Okay. We're good. Thank you.
all right.
Lieutenant Stewart was suspended without pay for 20 days after failing to report an officer's use of force during an incident that happened last year. And that's because one of his subordinates grabbed somebody by the neck and kneed them. And those actions require that you report those under the department policy because it's considered a use of force. Her public defender said that she did have a happy and healthy baby that day and that she's no longer on the streets. So with that, I leave you with some more ranting. Check it out. Make sure that you stay tuned for some bonus footage from Lieutenant Caleb at the very end. And trust me, you don't want to miss this.
When I pulled up in here, she's on the mattress. She's got a blanket, pillow underneath the interstate bridge. So clearly a violation. For location under the interstate bridge, utilizing camping paraphernalia. She got a, literally utilizing the mattress, got a blanket and pillows. She doesn't have, this isn't a designated, camping or sleeping area. She didn't have authority to be doing this here. And she's been warned before. She's probably been warned multiple times. I know she's officially been warned at least once, down on so it's clearly a restricted area as defined by the statute. She's clearly utilizing camping paraphernalia just by the statute. She's been warned at least, like I said, at least officially once, but I know she was down there on East Broadway for a long time, underneath that railroad bridge.
Back to your number 113-272, 113-272.
So, like I said, it's not designated camping or sleeping area. There are even signs right here. Let me stop and get one on my body camera real quick. To indicate where everything was. So here's the sign. No camping anytime. And she's located right on the other side of this flood wall. right on the other side of the flood wall, right here. So signs right over here behind that pole, that pylon right over there. So those signs are, you know, they utilize those signs, okay, or, you know, say it's effective within 500 feet. I mean, that's probably 100 foot, 150 foot maybe. But regardless if she saw the sign or not, the point is it's not designated camping area. So as soon as she saw us, I think, or realized who we were, she hops up off the mattress. You know, whenever I got out, she was, I'd have to look at my body camera, you know, to see kind of exactly what she said. But she was pretty confrontational from the get-go. And she said, not sure if it was verbatim, but she said something about waiting on EMS, like she's waiting on EMS. So then I was trying to get clarification, have you called for EMS? And then she said, no, I don't have a phone. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll call EMS for you. So right off the bat, seemed to be not being totally straight about stuff. Okay, so I'm not sure, let's see, where was that? Okay, so she pretty much jumped up. Oh, I shouldn't say jump. She got up off, you know, pretty quickly when I think she saw who we were, and was kind of confrontational. Wait, I think I already said that part. She said she was waiting for EMS because she thought maybe she was going into labor, and so when I was able to, you know, ascertain that she was not waiting for EMS, meaning she hadn't called them yet, then I, you know, called them for her. And then she starts walking away, which, you know, I have no issue with calling EMS for her if she thinks she needs them. I mean, she definitely appeared to be pregnant to me. But, I mean, it would be kind of, you know, at least suspicious timing that she seems to be fine sitting on a mattress underneath the interstate, and then as soon as the police pull up, then all of a sudden it's you know, she's in labor. But I wasn't there, you know, 10 minutes ago. It's possible she felt like she was in labor, but she then kind of indicated like she was just going to leave and not worry about needing EMS. Well, okay, at that point she's detained, because if she doesn't need EMS, well, regardless of whether or not she needs EMS, she's detained there. I mean, if EMS was there ready to take her, I'm not going to detain her further for purposes of, you know, pursuing this, her violating the statute. If she legitimately, you know, she legitimately needs EMS, needs to go. But they weren't there yet, and she was walking away and kind of said something to the effect of, forget it, like she didn't want EMS, she was just, you know, whatever. But I'm saying, no, you're not free to go. She even asked, is she being detained? And I said, yes. Like, yes, you're being detained because you're clearly violating a state statute. I can deal with both issues simultaneously, getting EMS there for her and addressing that statute. And so it's not like a free pass whether or not she legitimately needs EMS. Just saying she needs EMS doesn't mean automatically I'm not going to address any other issues. So then she said something about she just wanted to walk out to wait for EMS by the road. Well, I was like, okay, that's fine. You can walk out there by the road. I'll walk out the road. Well, then she walks out into the road and starts walking down Hancock Street. And that's when I lost my patience a little bit. And I said, no, you need to get out of the road. And, you know, you need to get up here out of the roadway, because I'm not going to have her getting hit. I'm not going to have her leaving, for one thing. I have to stay with her because she's being detained. And I'm not going to stand out in the road while we're waiting for EMS. So that's why I told her to get up there. She didn't seem to want to do it. I kind of, you know, helped her a little bit. She didn't really like that. So anyway, and then I made the determination. You know, I knew I was familiar with her. I dealt with her a lot. Couldn't recall her name off the top of my head, but, you know, she told me her name was Samantha Crabtree. Of course, I've got her information. I've got documented that she was given a warning when she was seen violating the statute before. And so I then made the determination that I'm going to start filling out a citation, you know, for that violation. If EMS gets there before I'm finished writing it and they're ready to take her, then, you know, I'll rip up the citation. And, you know, I think that potential medical issue would take precedence. You know, the EMS didn't get there before I was finished with the citation, so I cited her for that. She wadded up and threw it on the ground. And then I think she did, it looks like she did end up going with EMS. But, again, I don't want to seem like overly cynical. Obviously, it's just very suspicious timing that she's all of a sudden has a medical emergency as soon as it pull up. But like I said, I addressed that by calling EMS. Even requested them code 3 when they asked code 1 or code 3, even though in my opinion, I wasn't seeing what she was saying. She said she's leaking everywhere. I mean, she had shorts on. I could see her legs. Or maybe she didn't have shorts on. I don't know. I could see her legs. They appeared dry. I didn't see anything. But once again, that's just casual observations. It's not a medical professional by any means. The only thing that seemed to corroborate anything that she's saying is that she did appear to be pregnant. But regardless, I feel like I appropriately handled her request for medical attention, even though it seemed like she was ready to refuse medical attention. And also addressed the fact that she was violating that statute. Let's see. I think if I had just totally ignored the fact that she's violating the unlawful camping statute, since she's, was claiming to have a medical emergency, then I think it would set the precedent, at least reinforce with her that, saying you have a medical emergency is a ticket to get out of whatever it is that you're doing that's in violation of the law. So I don't think, as much as like the casual observer who, believes everything that lady said, would think that it maybe wasn't the most appropriate way to handle it, I'm very confident that was the appropriate way to handle it. With the exception of perhaps I maybe yelled at her a little too quickly when she was in the street. But then again, she was in the street. She walked out into the street. She shouldn't have been walking out in the street. And she definitely wasn't very quick to get back out of the street once I told her to. And then she said we stole her or took her camper or whatever. I don't know what she's talking about. It is possible, even likely, if she did have a camper or some kind of thing that was parked out on the street, that it was towed, because, you can't just, there are parameters by which, things can be on the street, and if that vehicle she's talking about was violating that, then it may have been towed, and it sounds like it was towed, because she said something about it being, getting it back from Suburban and whatever. So yeah, but that's not me. I know I didn't do it. I don't tow. It's very rare that I would have anything towed. It's possible that someone in our office did have a vehicle towed that was on the street. She said it cost $6,000 to get it out of the tow lot. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of exactly what took place in her incident, but I can't see where that would be possible. My understanding, there's a tow fee and then potentially storage fee for how long it's in there, but to me that does not seem reasonable, or that does not seem accurate, that would be possible. That's not right. We can't, as Metro government, you can't tow somebody's vehicle and say, oh, it's $6,000 to get it out. Like that, clearly that's not what's taking place. Yeah, something vulgar. It's there right now, or is it? It was. I don't know if it's still there. Well, it's still here.
はじめまして。